On June 13th, 2022, Charlotte-Mecklenburg police officers responded to a terrifying 911 call from a woman hiding in her closet after hearing gunshots outside her home. She believed someone was attempting to break in, and officers arrived to find shell casings outside the residence, signs of a disturbance, and multiple neighbors reporting a man trying to get into their homes in the neighborhood. That man was identified as 32-year-old Jovontay Williams. And not long after the events you're about to watch unfold, 32-year-old Jovontay Williams would be dead. A mother would lose her son. A young boy would lose his father. But what actually happened that night? Was this another case of police misconduct resulting in a preventable death? Did the responding paramedics fail to recognize a rapidly deteriorating medical emergency? Or was it the apparent hands-off approach of the fire department that may have cost precious time when every second mattered? Today, we're going to examine the body camera footage, the medical records, the autopsy findings, the toxicology report, and the official investigations to find out exactly what happened. The full story of Jovontay Williams coming up on this episode of the Dr. Medic. Now, first off, who are the players here? The law enforcement agency that we are going to be dealing with is the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Now, they are not a small-town police department, and CMPD is a large metropolitan consolidated police agency with almost 1,800 sworn officers serving the city of Charlotte, North Carolina in the United States, including a large unincorporated region of the county of Mecklenburg for a jurisdictional coverage area of almost 550 square miles and serving a population of over 1 million people. The fire department on this call is the Charlotte Fire Department. Again, this is a massive department with almost 1,200 firefighters serving a population, again, of about 1 million people and covering about 320 square miles. Now remember, we are in the United States, which means the fire department is not just there for fire suppression and rescue, but one of their primary duties is to provide emergency medical services. And while you do not have to be an EMT to get hired at Charlotte Fire Department, all firefighters become EMTs and then maintain their North Carolina EMT certification at a minimum, which means that just about every Charlotte firefighter who shows up on scene for a typical medical call will at least be an EMT, which means they are certified and expected to provide basic life support under the direction of a medical director, who in this case would be Dr. Doug Swanson. Now, the transporting ambulance service in Charlotte is a unique service that is literally called MEDIC, or otherwise known as the Mecklenburg EMS agency. Now, MEDIC is sort of a consortium of entities where they are technically a nonprofit agency whose board of commissioners is appointed by the actual Mecklenburg County Board of Commissioners and is comprised of senior leaders from 2 hospital systems with Atrium Health and Novant Health, as well as members from the actual county. Now, MEDIC is an ALS service, otherwise known as Advanced Life Support Ambulance Service, and they provide 911 coverage for all of Mecklenburg County, including the entire city of Charlotte. Now, MEDIC operates under a deployment model known as System Status Management, otherwise known as SSM. Now, SSM uses historical call data and predictive modeling to estimate where future 911 calls are most likely to occur, and then strategically positions ambulances throughout the county to reduce response times. In other words, unlike a fire department where units are generally responding from fixed stations, ambulances operating under SSM models are frequently moved throughout the city or moved throughout the county based on predicted call demand. An ambulance that is posted in one parking lot this hour may be moved to a completely different part of the county the next time. Supporters of System Status Management argue that this model allows EMS systems to improve response times by placing these ambulances closer to where emergencies are most likely to occur. Critics, however, argue that this model is often used as a resource management strategy that allows a community to provide 911 coverage with ambulances with fewer ambulances than might otherwise be required. Put another way, if a computer model predicts that 6 ambulances can adequately cover the county during a particular time period, Why staff 10? That debate over efficiency versus available resources has followed system status management for decades and remains one of the most controversial operational models in modern EMS. Nonetheless, that's the model that they use. Now, getting to this call, I have compiled all of the body cam footage and synchronized 9 different body cameras to be able to show you this incident in its entirety, from start to finish, from all of the appropriate angles. So, off we go. In the early morning hours of June 13th, 2022 at 1:58 a.m., CMPD receives a 911 call from a homeowner in the 300 block of Featherstone Drive in Charlotte. And they say that she hears someone screaming outside her front door and that she heard 3 gunshots.
I heard somebody screaming, and then I heard shots. I was like,
Officers arrive just 2 minutes later and note that there is damage to the front of this lady's porch, and they do find spent shell casings on the ground outside her front door.
What is going on out here?
I'm not sure. There's a shell casing on your front porch right here, though. Was all this stuff like this? Your plants and stuff?
No.
Okay. Stay in the house for me for a second.
There are now several other officers arriving, and another 911 call comes in, this time from the house next door. Now, this first officer on scene, man, throughout this call, he is nothing but professional, calm, cool, and collected. And I'm going to call this officer Officer Tim for the rest of this story. And at this point, Officer Tim and the other officers, they all must be at a heightened sense of urgency, as they are now to assume that they have someone in this neighborhood with a firearm who is randomly going around firing his gun. So Officer Tim goes back to his car and grabs his rifle, clears the radio channel, and continues searching for the suspect.
7-12-20, I'll have a rifle deployed, and if you can close the channel, please.
All units, full traffic, 133-207.
Now, as Officer Tim and his partners continue to search, another homeowner runs out to the street to tell them that there is a man on his back porch and he is trying to break into his house.
Yeah. Hey, just confirming it's the house to the left, you're facing the front of the right.
Right on my porch over here. Me and my dad woke up.
Do you have like a weapon or anything?
I don't know.
We're making contact right now. We're moving up to 344 right now.
You go down there and you look to the left, you'll see a porch.
Police, let me see your hands! It's the police! Come out into the open so I can see your hands! Keep pushing. All right, good. It's the police! Show yourself!
come on, D. D, for real. I gotta go to the hospital. Come on, man. D, I gotta go to the hospital. Go on, man.
Hey, come out into the open and show yourself!
Now, one of the things that immediately stands out watching this body camera footage is just how incredibly calm and professional the first officers are from the very beginning of the call. Even while they're still approaching the scene, you can hear how controlled they are on the radio with each other. You know, they're not screaming, they're not panicking, they're using cover and concealment. They're communicating clearly.
I can't see his hands. Sir, let me see your hands!
Sir, let us see your hands! Okay. Give your rifle out.
Hey, my name's Officer Abramo. What's yours?
Sir, show me your hands!
He's got some sort of blanket over his hands. I can't see him.
Okay. Sir! Stay off the channel.
Sir, let me see your hands. Step away from the house. Step away from the house and show me your hands.
Shit.
Can anybody get a vantage point so we can see his hands? I've got cover on him. Sir, can you stand up?
Officer Ico is with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. We don't want anything to happen. I just need you to stand up and show me and my partners your hands, all right?
Him.
Sir, stand up for me.
Showcase next door. Apparently these guys just showed up on their porch. Morrissey. I need you to go knock on their front door.
You can start medic staging.
Go knock on their front door. Get everybody out of the house. Have them come out the front door. Gotcha. Go towards that police car.
Sir, let me see your hands.
Is it bleeding? We don't know. Let us see your hands!
Show me your hands.
Hands, sir! Hands in the air, sir!
I've got lethal. We need somebody with cuffs.
And then something amazing happens. Remember, these are not EMTs or paramedics, they're cops. And after watching Jovontay on this porch for just a few minutes, one of the officers says this.
Hey, I'm gonna go with like a excited delirium or something like that, Tim.
Yeah.
Now, this law enforcement officer is critically thinking and is suggesting that this could be a case of excited delirium. And again, as my kids would say, what even in the world is excited delirium? Well, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about what it is, how it should be handled by both law enforcement and medical personnel, and then the big one, do we think that this was a case of excited delirium and was it handled appropriately? Let's find out. Now, the term excited delirium has become extremely controversial over the years, especially in law enforcement related deaths. Some medical organizations no longer formally recognize excited delirium as an official diagnosis because of concerns about how the term has historically been used. For instance, the American Medical Association is in full opposition of the term excited delirium, while on the other hand, the American College of Emergency Physicians, or ACEP, you know, the ones who actually deal with and see excited delirium every day. ACEP originally published a groundbreaking white paper on excited delirium back in 2009, outlining all of the science, the history, the treatment recommendations, but also discussing and listing excited delirium as a cause of death on death certificates. However, in 2021, they formed a task force where they essentially said many of the same things as they did in 2009 regarding the signs and symptoms, but shifted the focus away from post-mortem and even legal diagnoses. But to be honest, when I read the 132-page task force paper, it really seems more like 132 pages of the task force simply trying to justify changing the name from excited delirium to what they now call hyperactive delirium with severe agitation. So forget about the opinions, though. What does the research say? Research is cool. Go to the website, get you a shirt. As cited in many papers and discussed heavily in a landmark review paper by Takeuchi et al. Out of the University of California, excited delirium can historically be described as a person who presents with extreme agitation, paranoia, incoherent speech, rapid breathing, irrational behavior, severe physiologic stress, elevated body temperature, incredible or superhuman strength, and sometimes sudden collapse. When you have these patients, the major concern medically is not just the agitation itself, it's the massive metabolic demand that is happening inside the body. These patients can essentially burn through their physiologic reserve and crash very suddenly, even after the physical struggle appears to be over. But one of the most important things emphasized in the Takeuchi review paper is that whether or not people agree on the terminology or how strong the word police might be, example, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill just a couple years ago in 2023 banning the words excited delirium as a diagnosis and cause of death. Again, it doesn't matter what words you use. The physiologic syndrome itself is very real. The paper goes on to describe these patients that they present with severe agitation and paranoia and violence and hyperactivity and unexpected strength and hyperthermia, respiratory collapse, and sudden death, particularly in stimulant-associated cases involving cocaine. Now, the Takeuchi paper also specifically notes that many of these deaths occur before police ever restrain the patient, before custody is even established sometimes, or even before medical personnel arrive. That is an important point because it reinforces that this syndrome cannot simply be reduced to police restraint equals death or something like that. And so the treatment philosophy for severe excited delirium is very different from normal law enforcement restraint tactics. The goal is not simply to chemically hold the patient down. The goal is to safely control the patient long enough to rapidly transition into medical treatment. Things like sedation and airway management and oxygenation, cooling the body if necessary, cardiac monitoring, and of course, rapidly transporting the patient to the hospital. Now, for one of these officers to suggest that this is excited delirium at this stage of the game, you get suspects at gunpoint, 2 a.m., everybody's stressed, it absolutely stands out to me because it tells me that these officers, or maybe the entire department, has received specific education on this very subject. They had to have been taught the signs to be on the lookout for, which then will give them more of a more cognitive tools to be able to decide how to handle this suspect moving forward. Yes, they absolutely have to neutralize the threat. This is a high-stress situation where decisions are required to be made quickly and efficiently to ensure the safety of everyone, including the law enforcement officers themselves, the medical personnel, the homeowners, and yes, also Jovontay. Yes, so this appears to be a psychiatric or psychotic episode, but crimes have also been committed. Gunshots were fired, residents are barricading themselves in closets, and families are inside these homes, terrified, while a man is actively trying to enter occupied residences outside. Even someone in a severe psychotic state can still kill someone. But these cops are also now thinking that once they do neutralize the suspect by securing any firearms and getting him into handcuffs, that they absolutely have to get Jovontay off of his belly, try and relax and calm him as much as possible, call for EMS, and possibly most importantly of all, to manage his airway to ensure he is not aspirating on his own saliva or blood or vomit or anything else that will compromise his ability to breathe. In addition, CMPD has their own policy on positional asphyxia numbered 500-003, dated way back on November 24th, 1992, that explains some of what I just told you, but requires the officers to do 3 things. 1, do your best to avoid hog-tying the patient where their legs and arms are handcuffed together behind their back. 2, closely monitor them for signs of breathing difficulty. And 3, be aware that subjects suffering a psychiatric episode or have consumed illegal substances may be more at risk for positional asphyxia. So before you watch this next bit of video, remember what the research and their own policy requires them to do. Secure the threat first as quickly as possible. Remember, psych patients and people under the influence can still hurt and kill people. 2, once secure, get the suspect off his belly as soon as possible. 3, call for EMS. 4, try your best to calm and relax the subject and keep them from flexing and fighting and becoming more agitated. 5, monitor the subject's airway for obstruction and ensure they are able to breathe in and out. 6, determine if the patient has consumed any illicit substances. And 7, monitor for signs of excited delirium. Let's take a look.
Edward, you can start medic staging.
Hey, I'm gonna go with like a excited delirium or something like that, Tim.
Yeah.
He's got like a fanny pack around him. I don't see anything in it.
I got both hands, nothing in it. Empty. He's reaching for the doorknob. I got lethal.
Bring it back. Alright, cuffs off. Cuffs off.
We'll flip them this way.
Come here, sir.
Let's clear this fanny pack.
Yep.
Hey Tim, I got
Okay. Alright. Hey, sir, you're good. You're good. Just relax. Take some deep breaths for us, okay? Are you hurt? Are you hurt? Okay.
Fanny pack's clear.
Okay. You're good. You're good. You're good. Relax. Just take deep breaths for me, bro. We're here to help you, all right? Just take some deep breaths. In through your nose, out through your mouth, all right? You want to sit him up, okay? We got nothing here.
Yeah, he's stiffening up like a board.
Hey,
Just make sure his airway's clear. We'll keep him in this position.
Swipe his front. Get a good swipe on the front. Hey, just roll towards me, sir. You okay? Roll towards me. You all right? You okay? You okay? You're good. You're good. You're good. You're gonna be all right. We're getting you some help. I got it. Everyone good?
Hey, I'm gonna do a once over down there.
You gotta figure it out.
Sir, what's your name, man? What's your first name? What's your name, man?
You okay? You all right? You okay? You all right? You all right? Just find it, bro. You gotta go in that door.
Can you tell us what you took?
Barrett, will you go the roadway and just stand by for medic and bring him back here once I get here? Come, roll towards me, sir. Roll towards me. You all right? You all right?
We gotta make sure you're not injured, man.
Hey, don't fight us. Don't fight us. Don't fight us. You all right?
It's wrapped under his shoulder on the other side.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't want to cut it. Not way he's moving his head around.
Absolutely.
Oh, there you go. That's all right.
Can you run that ID? Yep. Don't fight us. You're all right. You're good. You're all right.
You're all right, man.
You're all right. We'll get you up in a second. Do we advise clear for medic or scene security? I said bear to the roadway to walk them back. What's his first name? Jovontay?
Jovontay, man, we got the ambulance on the way for you, all right? Yeah, we're gonna help you up as soon as the ambulance gets here, okay?
You can't do that.
We'll help you up in a second. We gotta wait for the ambulance to get here.
Did you get a good sweep over here? Not even on this corner, wherever he was laying? Or on the back side of the... Okay, cool.
I mean, unless he tossed it into the woods.
We'll sweep for him.
Jovontay, let me go.
We'll get you up here in a second. We'll get you up here in a minute.
You let me go. Oh, God, bro. What you doing in West? What pushing this? Oh, Jack, what you doing? Yeah, please. God damn. Yeah, this shit ain't screwed. Oh.
Anybody talk to the homeowner yet?
Yeah, Morrison did. They don't recognize him.
Yeah, you doing that. You doing a whole lot, bro.
God
God damn. Knock that nigga off. Knock that nigga off.
I think so. Yeah, Max, we can go ahead and probably open it up.
Oh, that's good.
Are you just reading normal traffic?
Yeah, you good. Let me go. God damn. Ah.
You good, bro?
Come on, bro. God. I'm about to die. I'm about to die. Yeah, I'm about to die.
They're looking.
Oh, bro, get off. God. This is abuse. I'm about to die, bro. That's what I got about to die. I feel lightheaded. Yeah, I feel lightheaded. Oh my God, I feel lightheaded, bro. Bro, I feel lightheaded. God damn.
Max, they're here.
Here. Here, nigga. Oh my God. You know you in there. Yeah, we for real. God damn. Yeah, fucked up. Yeah, bro, for real? Yeah. Oh, John. Yeah, please. Please, John. I'm about to die. I'm seeing double. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm seeing double. Nigga. I got double. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It's all you breathe. This thing here don't even do that. Yeah, you dead wrong, fish. You wrong.
You alright?
Come on, what's it hurt? Ah!
You want to swap out?
Yeah.
We can come behind you and
All
sit
right,
up
go
there.
Now, enter in the Charlotte Fire Department. Now, you will see 4 firefighters enter this scene. They arrive on a fire engine, and they did bring at least 1 medical bag that I'm sure has plenty of basic life support equipment and supplies. So, what is their role here, and what is the expectation? Well, they are the first response unit, and their job is to provide basic life support to Jovontay up to and including the EMT level of care. Again, what we call basic life support, or BLS. But they also have another role, and it is because they are working in a tiered system. You see, this call was still right in the heat of COVID in the summer of 2022, and EMS systems all across the world, especially in the big cities in the United States, were taxed to the max, and if anyone wasn't already understaffed, large urban EMS systems like MEDIC were especially understaffed. So what did they do? They implemented their first version of a tiered response system, and a quick explanation of that is when 911 dispatchers get the call, they will only send the required resources to a medical or a trauma call based on the caller's complaint and subsequent questions from the dispatcher. Lower level calls may only get a BLS fire engine, and the EMTs on that engine need to assess the patient and the scene and determine whether or not an ambulance is even required at all. And if it is required, should that ambulance respond with lights and sirens or without lights and sirens? In other words, should they respond emergency or not emergency? So what should we be expecting here from Charlotte Fire Department? We should expect to see them show up on scene and follow their protocol. Well, what does their protocol say they should do? Well, remember I told you that their medical director was Dr. Doug Swanson, and he created protocols that enable EMTs and paramedics to work under standing orders without having to consult directly with a physician. Dr. Swanson publishes 2 versions of these protocols: BLS protocols, which apply to all EMTs in the Mecklenburg EMS system, and advanced life support, or ALS protocols, which applies to any advanced EMTs or paramedics that also work in the same system. Now, these Charlotte firefighters would fall, like I said, under the BLS protocols, and the appropriate protocol here would be called overdose. Why overdose? Because by this point, law enforcement has already determined that Jovontay has some type of drug substance on him, and they've already told the firefighters that they believe he is on something and that this could be a case of excited delirium. But either way, doesn't matter what's wrong with the patient, all patients should receive what we call an initial assessment, which is made up of assessing the patient's airway, their breathing, their pulse, and their neurological status. And I have included each step of the initial assessment from the protocols for these firefighters up above. Once done with this assessment, they should now be fully aware that this is a potential excited delirium patient who most likely is under the influence of some drug or alcohol, and they should then move to the overdose protocol, which you can see here. Now, any EMT or paramedic would tell you within about 17 seconds of assessing Jovontay that he most likely has one of these items in his system. So what should they do next? Make sure everything is safe. Well, there's 9 law enforcement officers here, so I'm pretty sure these firefighters feel pretty safe. Then they should perform the assessment I just reviewed with you, as well as focus on maintaining the airway and suctioning the airway, providing oxygen or assisting ventilations with a bag valve mask, checking the patient's blood glucose, providing naloxone if they suspect that the overdose is an opiate in nature and is accompanied by respiratory depression. And as you move forward, down this protocol to additional considerations, it notes that, quote, sedation for patients noted to be extremely agitated should be emergently considered because rapid decompensation is possible. Now, these firefighters are BLS, so they do not have the means to sedate a patient, but what they can do after they assess the patient is to ensure that the ALS ambulance is responding emergency with lights and sirens. So, the cops did pretty good. Let's see how these firefighters do.
Heard it all? He's got some blood on his shirt, but I don't think that's from us. I think that was previous.
Bro, see Disney, get the fuck off! You really did this shit. Get off me!
Hey, what's going on? What's your name, man?
Taylor.
Oh, man.
Taylor, you heard it all?
Damn.
What's
You heard it all.
like?
Bro, you a dirty nigga, bro.
I mean, I had to have been him, but like.
Oh, let me go, bro.
Are you hurt?
I'm breathing, bro. When I get up, push. I'll push the feet. All right. Don't let me up. But, bro, I'm seeing doubles. Yes. I'm seeing doubles. My God. Fuck that nigga, you do you like that? Oh, I'm seeing doubles. I'm seeing doubles.
We tried to look for injuries on him, and
We didn't see any injuries.
yeah, there's blood spatter on the front of his shirt here, but
Yeah, I'm gonna put up my folder.
yeah.
Oh, hurry up. Hurry up. See dizzy. Help me out. God damn, Zion. This shit gave you. Oh, if I die, boo, so.
Hey.
If I die, it's you, boo.
Good right now.
No, if you die, it's you. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh.
Yeah, moving back from the wall.
Oh. Leon, what are you doing? I can't breathe.
You can.
I can't breathe.
Bro, you're alright.
No, I'm not. Betrayal. Hit that nigga. Hit that nigga. Oh, God, Leon.
Hey, this is the property too.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Leon. I'm ready to get up. Leon, please. I'm asking, 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 please.
Well, I'm not sure how many times you watched this video, but I've watched it dozens and dozens of times prepping for this story. And aside from lifting that dude's shirt up to look for a gunshot wound, these firefighter EMTs did not complete a single step from either their initial assessment nor their overdose protocol. Not a single step. Now remember, I'm playing this back for you in real time without skipping even a single second from the moment the cops get there until the time Jovontay leaves in an ambulance. Now, at this point, it has already been 16 minutes since law enforcement requested EMS. And I'm going to play the next 5 minutes of this call completely uninterrupted, and I just want you to feel what it's like to be dying on a porch with up to 4 medical personnel there, and none of them do a single thing to continue to assess Jovontay or treat him by giving him oxygen, assisting his ventilations, cooling him down, or taking a single vital sign. What you're going to see is this. Several police officers get extremely pissed off because MEDIC, the ambulance, is taking so long to show up. Now, this scene is right in the middle of Charlotte, and it should not take them that long to get there, but what these cops didn't know at the time is that the fire department did request MEDIC to respond as per their protocol. But according to 2 inside sources, as well as WBTV out of Charlotte, these firefighters did not request for MEDIC to respond emergency using their lights and sirens. Instead, the fire department requested them to respond non-emergency without lights and sirens, which according to their protocol means that they determined Jovontay had minimal potential for decompensation. So yes, of course, MEDIC is going to take forever to get there because they were told this was not an emergency. So here we go. Remember, FD has already been there for 5 minutes. I want you to feel these next 5 minutes. And when the video starts, you will see what appears to be Jovontay's final flexion and overexertion. And in my opinion, from that moment forward, he is already suffering some sort of anoxic brain injury where his brain is not receiving enough oxygen because he's in shock and is most likely in heart failure and has become so unbelievably metabolically acidotic that his body can just no longer compensate. Off we go.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
There's where the blood's coming from. Just a little cut on his hand. Just perfect little dots. Touching himself. Dabbing it. Like you punch something. Yes, sir.
please, man. Let's get up. Oh, God.
We're sitting at the station at the kitchen table.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, oh my God. This ain't cool, man.
So you didn't want to comply with commands when you told him
No. You can quiet off.
that's why it's detained?
So,
Obviously he doesn't live here, right?
yeah. So we had a shots fired call. And so they went to the neighbor's house, and there's shell casings on her front porch. And like her flower pots were knocked over, stuff like that. So then they heard noises over here. They came here. He was like actively trying to get in.
Oh shit.
And so
Oh, God.
we tried giving the commands because we figured there might be a gun around
No
somewhere.
weapons or anything?
Well, we haven't found the gun yet. So eventually we just ended up rushing him. The people here don't know who he is, so we have no idea. Kind of say delirium or something like that. There's some drug paraphernalia over there, so I don't really know what's going on. So at this point, we don't even know what we do have.
They just want to have to sedate him.
Just taking shots till they pick that vehicle up and that Honda Civic had Rhode Island tag.
I was going to call you at some point.
Is he shot?
No. So this appears to be some sort of excited delirium. So we get a shot.
Yeah, just have to get up to those officers. They can take it up somewhere.
Sam, make sure you don't choke him on spit.
There's a little fire here.
215.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think so. She didn't say anything about a gun or anything like that. She heard shots fired, and then when she came to the door, all her potted plants were everywhere.
City needs a new contract for medic. Get rid of them worthless fucks.
I saw drug paraphernalia. What kind of drug paraphernalia?
It's got Brillo in an empty baggie with a white powder in it.
There's no one you need us to.
Can you check for me, where the man was?
10-4, go ahead.
You got some money?
First name is going to be Sean Cummins. Last name Martin. Also going to stay on 12/12/1980.
You have a barrel? Already? Yeah.
10-4.
6-1 there.
Go ahead.
Can you clear me MI off the trunk stop? Have to locate numbers for
don't know if it's this or not. I gotta say. Make sure.
Thank you.
There we go.
It's nice to get here before the other dudes over here. You would think we got one at gunpoint. As medic, start medic, stage him.
Excited delirium should be the fucking key phrase there. Which I think we articulated to medic.
Or still we got one at
That's where they're coming from.
I would assume that we're probably about to shoot the guy, so they should probably be here.
Anything of interest?
Man, that's tough to watch. But now we have an EMT and a paramedic walking up with a stretcher, a killer mullet, and a stash that I could only envy from afar. And enter in paramedic Chris. Now, Chris is a paramedic, which means he falls under ALS protocols. You see, the funny thing about ALS protocols is that they assume that the paramedic will also be doing BLS before ALS, meaning they will also assess the airway and breathing and circulation prior to moving on to advanced procedures. But either way, let's take a look at what medic Chris now is supposed to do. For the initial assessment, pretty much everything is exactly the same as the EMTs, with the exception that the paramedics should initiate ECG monitoring during the assessment, as paramedics are highly trained and educated in interpreting and treating any and all cardiac dysrhythmias. So let's move on to the actual overdose protocol for paramedics under ALS. You can see the first part here is essentially the same as the EMTs, and that yes, there is the ability to treat the patient with naloxone, but that would only be indicated if the patient was suffering some form of respiratory depression, meaning breathing super slow or not breathing at all. But Jovontay's breathing like 60 times a minute, and he is doing so to compensate for the ridiculous amount of metabolic acidosis that he has built up from being so agitated and aggressive and exerting so much energy for so long. For the advanced medical care, Chris could do a 12-lead EKG. He may end up intubating, or most importantly, he may need to give IV fluids and sedate the patient. The IV fluids is because Jovontay is most likely hypovolemic from sweating so profusely for so long, and he is also probably becoming hyperthermic due to all the exertion and the inability to cool himself because he has sweated so much he is so hypovolemic. Like I said, he could possibly sedate Jovontay, but unfortunately, what we can see is that Jovontay has already surpassed his manic overexertion phase, and at this point, really the only thing that can help him is to treat any potential shock, manage his airway, and get him to the hospital for further treatment of advanced acidosis. But before any of that can happen, a grade assessment has to take place. Let's see how paramedic Chris does.
I'm compliant for them. Good. It seems to be in and out as far as being on something. It's calmed down and then he just gets all jacked up and then he calms down.
The drugs he was using was on the floorboard over there, underneath the potted plant. The little baggie right there.
This?
No, right, yeah, right where you're shining it.
Under the table.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he was having like double vision and stiffening up like a board and releasing. And
Can you turn me my monitor on the back on the stretcher right now? Where did the monitor go? You guys are coming out with these officers. Is it being weird for you guys so far? Hey, buddy.
I think I gotta grab the bags.
Yeah, grab the bags. Can you go up there and grab the bags out of the truck for me, please?
Yeah, so you see he said that he left one of his bags in the truck. Well, why doesn't he have the bags? Well, he probably should. And this is a perfect example of why you paramedics and EMTs out there should always go into every call with all of your minimum required equipment every single time. My guess, though, is that since the fire department, called this in as a non-emergency call, the paramedic Chris didn't think it was necessary to bring the bag. But like I said, he probably should have.
Should be. Take the keys.
Narcan or anything?
No, he's breathing okay. Not Narcan.
Like this at work.
Good. You still good, Greg?
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, brother, can you talk to me? Can you talk to me?
I believe his first name is Jovontay.
Jovontay, can you talk to me, buddy?
Right, Morrissey, his first name is Jovontay?
Right. Jovontay Williams. So what happened when you guys got here?
He was in a fetal position in the corner over here.
Okay.
Our call stated there were shots fired. There's some shell casings in the neighbor's yard. And we heard screaming in the backyard over here, so we all come over here. Like I said, he was in the fetal position. We were yelling out commands for him to show his hands and to stand up and come towards us. He immediately jumped up towards the door over here. This is not his house. Tried to get inside the house. And then we placed him in handcuffs just because of his behavior. That's pretty much it.
How long has he been obtunded like this?
10 minutes.
10 minutes like this?
Yeah.
He was combative when we got here.
You mean in
He was
this?
fighting the cops.
Okay, I'm talking about like lethargic like this.
Yeah.
Probably
Not
about
10
5.
minutes.
Yeah.
Not 10 minutes? How long?
Maybe 5.
5?
Yeah.
It's okay, we can just put it.
You want to do one on two?
State training, I gotta stand up and stay awake.
Big bag, real bag. So first things first, we have to get these cuffs off. I'm not gonna be able to train like this. If he starts getting weird,
It's up to y'all.
yeah, we have to take them
Yeah,
off.
okay. All right.
Can you grab me the mega mover, please? Thank you.
You want me to grab anything from that bag in the meantime?
No, nothing from the bag right now. I would love to get a good SPO2 on this guy.
Oh yeah, we're good with this. Yeah, search is good.
I mean, his fingers are kind of cold.
I gotta keep rolling this way. Can one of you guys grab a BBM, please? Yeah.
It's in the airway bag.
Yeah. These guys like carrying arrest right now.
You'll put them in a carry-on.
What's that?
Put them underneath it.
And yeah, well, we need to get a BBM going
Tank
right
on the back
now.
of the stretcher. So that would keep going in.
Okay. Just a BVM for right now.
Tank's coming.
Alright. I'm just gonna put this over your face, okay?
There you go, Lon.
Should I just breathe with him or?
Yeah, breathe with him.
Alright guys, gonna have people here. I need this thing laid out. We're gonna roll them toward me. He's breathing an adequate rate, but his tidal volume is absolute trash. Also, he has a ton of secretions in his airway right now. Yeah, I mean, he's peri-arrest right now.
Already?
Yep, 1, 2, 3. Roll back over. I need someone right over here. Right.
Now, I have been on this call, man, every experienced paramedic has been on this call 100 times, if not 1,000 times, and this same call takes place hundreds of times a day across the entire country. And while paramedic Chris may not have done everything 100% perfectly, I can categorically tell you that he did a phenomenal job. He was polite. He delegated tasks appropriately. He had the confidence to tell law enforcement that the handcuffs needed to be removed. He repeatedly assessed Jovontay's airway and his breathing and his pulse and his skin temperature. And once the cuffs were off, paramedic Chris obtained a baseline set of vitals which showed a respiratory rate in the 30s or 40s, a heart rate between 130 and 140, which is sinus tachycardia, and a blood pressure of 60 palp. These signs all point to a patient who has now become so unbelievably metabolically acidotic from all of the exertion that he's breathing super fast because he is trying to blow off all of that CO2 and metabolic byproducts. He is hypotensive with that super low blood pressure due to losing so much fluid from profusely sweating and most likely some level of left ventricular heart failure, and is super tachycardic with a heart rate of 135 because his heart is trying to compensate for having such a low blood pressure. This is all leading to poor perfusion to the skin, which is why they said his fingers were cold. But more importantly, poor perfusion to his brain and to his heart. Jovontay is dying right here, and paramedic Chris knows it because twice he says he's peri-arrest.
Yeah, these guys like peri-arrest right now. Yeah, I mean, he's peri-arrest right now.
Which means Chris knows Jovontay is about to die, and the best thing he can do at this point is to ventilate him with a BVM on high flow oxygen, possibly give him some fluids en route, maybe some pressors, and get him to the hospital. Chris knows this, he recognizes it, he communicates it, he treats it appropriately, and he transports Jovontay to the hospital where he did die several hours later. So you have a 32-year-old male who is terrifying homeowners by trying to break into their homes, damage their property, and discharging a firearm on their porch. Oh, they found that gun, by the way, in front of the yard of that house just a few minutes after they transported Jovontay.
Hey, dog, right here. We got 94 down here.
Anyway, you have this man who is obviously committing multiple dangerous crimes, and yet when law enforcement show up, they first take cover and protection and attempt to communicate with Jovontay, and they seem to very quickly realize that this is a possible excited delirium episode. They are able to safely secure the threat and then immediately move to place Jovontay in a position where he can breathe. This is officially called the recovery position, by the way, and is the best practice patient position for just about any patient who is encountered by non-medical personnel to ensure that the patient can clear their own airway. They are polite to him. They call for EMS. They even attempt to manage and assess his breathing and airway, which is far more than the fire department attempted to do. In my opinion, these cops were nothing but professional and did about as good a job as anyone could possibly expect anywhere in the country. Awesome work. So, what was the official cause of death? Well, we need an autopsy report, right? In this case, we have an autopsy that took place on June 21st, 2022 and was performed by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in North Carolina and took a full 2 years to be completed and was certified on June 26, 2024. And this report, along with the toxicology report completed a few days later, found that Jovontay was under the influence of both cocaine and fentanyl. They found that Jovontay had an enlarged heart, which we call cardiomegaly. They also documented findings from the EMS and hospital reports, which showed that Jovontay was hypotensive, he was in shock, and was severely hyperthermic with a core temperature of 106 degrees Fahrenheit, that he was severely acidotic. He then regressed into full-blown multiple organ death syndrome, which we call MODS, that also came with disseminated intravascular coagulopathy, which we call DIC, and ultimately deteriorated into a PEA heart rhythm, then asystole, and died about 10 a.m. The medical examiner also reviewed all of the body cam that I just showed you, and using that video footage, along with all of the scientific tests and reports, they concluded that Jovontay died of multi-system organ failure in the setting of cardiomegaly and cocaine toxicity with hyperthermia. In other words, and far away from the word police, Jovontay died of complications from excited delirium. But hold on. While that report was performed on June 21st, 2022 and certified back in 2024, the family had their own independent autopsy performed on July 6th, 2022 by the Nebraska Institute of Forensic Sciences, which is a nonprofit organization out of Lincoln, Nebraska. This independent autopsy appears to have been funded by the Entertainment Industry Foundation, which is another nonprofit organization that essentially funds these types of philanthropic ventures, mostly by funds donated by artists, athletes, and entertainers, otherwise famous people. Well, this second independent autopsy also took several years to complete, and let's see what the conclusions are in this report. Now, this report also found that Jovontay was under the influence of alcohol, cocaine, and fentanyl. However, this report makes no mention of Jovontay's documented shock, his hyperthermia, his enlarged heart, nor his heart failure. Instead, this report concludes that the cause of Jovontay's death was, quote, restraint asphyxia or positional asphyxia by the police while under the police restraint and custody. This report was performed and signed off by Dr. Matthias Okoye, the director of the Nebraska Institute of Forensic Sciences. You see, positional asphyxia, it can't really be seen or discovered on an autopsy, really. It can only be hypothesized based on the totality of the circumstances. In this case, Dr. Okoye, he reviewed the same body cam footage that I just showed you, and in my opinion is making a very broad assumption that somewhere during the video, the same video that we just watched, that the CMPD somehow placed Jovontay in a position that made it so impossible for him to breathe that he became hypoxic and died. But that's not what I see at all. Not at all. CMPD turned Jovontay on his side after just 20 seconds of trying to handcuff him, and then tried to calm him down and left Jovontay on his side or on his back. Again, that research by Takeuchi even states that, quote, since the victims sometimes die in police custody, the most widely publicized proposed causes of death in excited delirium are taser use and positional asphyxia. Well, obviously, no taser was used here, so we can throw that one out. And Takeuchi goes on to say that supporters of the positional asphyxia hypothesis postulate that an anoxic death results from the combination of increased oxygen demand with a failure to maintain a patent airway or inhibition of the chest wall and diaphragmatic movement, meaning it's difficult to breathe because there's pressure on you. And that is assuming that the patient is in what we call the prone maximal restraint position, or PMRP, or otherwise simply known as being hogtied. But as we previously discussed, CMPD had a policy to avoid hogtying patients, and they did not hogtie patients. And even if they did hogtie Jovontay, which they didn't, Dr. Chan from the Department of Emergency Medicine at the University of California completed an experimental crossover controlled trial where they tested this theory out and found that even if you do hogtie someone, while it may restrict someone's breathing pattern a little bit, quote, it will not result in clinically relevant changes in oxygenation or ventilation, which is why, back to the first paper about excited delirium, Takeuchi stated that based on these findings, PMRP or hogtying may result in a transient pattern of restricted pulmonary function, but the lack of evidence for hypoxia or hypoventilation suggests that factors other than body positioning appear to be more important determinants for sudden, unexpected death. Yeah, other factors like having a psychotic episode while drunk and high on cocaine and fentanyl. The toxicology findings and body camera footage strongly support that Jovontay was in a profound drug-induced physiologic and psychiatric crisis. And this is what makes the second autopsy conclusion so difficult for me to reconcile. This incident has now been publicly framed as positional asphyxia and restraint-induced homicide because in June of 2025, Jovontay's mother and family filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Charlotte and 4 of the police officers on scene, including badass Officer Tim, claiming that Jovontay's 4th and 14th Amendments were somehow violated. But when I compare those conclusions to what we can literally watch with our own eyes on video, I struggle to understand how the autopsy conclusion could end up appearing so completely disconnected from the actual timeline and visible physiology. So how could this second autopsy be so different from the first one? Well, let's take a look at who performed the second autopsy. Remember, it was Dr. Matthias Okoye. Now, Dr. Okoye seems to have somewhat of a troubled past. He was once sued for malicious prosecution for providing false information in an autopsy report that led to a daycare worker being wrongfully arrested and prosecuted for felony child abuse. Other pathologists read all of that and described Dr. Okoye's work on that case as, quote, shockingly baseless in its every detail. In another case, Dr. Okoye was criticized for his failure to notice several wounds on a body that he was performing an autopsy on, and the National Association of Medical Examiners cited one of Dr. Okoye's autopsy as, quote, a cautionary tale, because the results of the second autopsy were inconsistent with evidence from the scene investigation or otherwise actively harmed the family's lawsuit. And even worse, Dr. Okoye used to be a medical examiner in Washington, D.C., and was once investigated for having illegally taken body parts from people who he was performing autopsies on and giving them away to private researchers. And now, in this case, that same medical examiner, he watched the same video that you just did and ignored many of the documented findings by the hospital and tox reports such as shock, hypotension, fentanyl, cocaine toxicity, and heart failure, and blamed these cops for Jovontay's death by saying they restrained Jovontay to the point that they caused asphyxiation, which, as you can see in the video, never happened. You know, one of the biggest problems with incidents like this is how quickly and incredibly complicated medical and law enforcement situations get reduced into slogans and headlines and hashtags and TikToks and 90-second news clips. People hear phrases like he was pleading for help, or they see a grieving family member and immediately assume that they fully understand everything that happened. But real-world emergency scenes like this, they're often medically and legally and physiologically complicated. Sometimes the most intellectually honest answer in a lot of conversations is simply, I don't know, but people don't ever say that. But for me, after reviewing all of this, the body cam footage, the timelines, the EMS response, the lawsuits, the toxicology findings, and the later multiple autopsy conclusions, my personal opinion is this. I believe these police officers on this scene did one of the best jobs I have ever personally seen in my career, handling an incredibly dangerous and medically complicated incident. I believe the arriving paramedic recognized a peri-arrest patient quickly and practiced excellent critical thinking medicine under pressure. I also believe that Charlotte Fire Department probably is an amazing department and full of amazing men and women, but I hope and encourage them to provide an in-service for their EMTs and remind them that unless there is some form of safety issue, a full patient assessment should be completed for every patient, including vital signs, managing their airway, and assisting ventilations in people who are respiratory compromised. And I believe that the body camera footage, toxicology findings, and emergency medicine literature raise serious questions about whether the public narrative surrounding positional asphyxia, in this case, and others, fully matches what is actually visible on video. And lastly, as you know on this channel, it's all about the lessons learned. So what could have prevented Jovontay Williams from dying that night? In my opinion, there were two things that could have prevented his death that night. The first was timing. By the time the transporting paramedic arrived and recognized just how critically ill Jovontay was, he appeared to be well into a physiologic crisis. Looking back at the timeline, the treatment that likely offered the greatest chance of changing the outcome would have been rapid sedation and aggressive cooling, airway management, oxygenation, and ventilatory support way earlier in the incident. Probably 20 to 30 minutes before the paramedic ever made patient contact. Now, could some of that time have been recovered? Yes, absolutely. If fire personnel had recognized the severity of the situation earlier and requested an emergency ambulance response instead of a non-emergency response, that certainly would have shortened the delay. But to be completely fair, even that may not have changed the outcome. By that point, Jovontay's condition may have already progressed so far that successful resuscitation was probably becoming increasingly unlikely. Now, the second opportunity comes down to personal accountability. Nobody forced Jovontay to consume cocaine. Nobody forced him to consume fentanyl. Nobody forced him to drink alcohol. And nobody forced him to walk through a neighborhood at 2 o'clock in the morning, firing a gun, attempting to enter occupied homes and terrorizing innocent residents. Those were his decisions and no one else's. That doesn't mean he deserved to die. It does mean that every tragedy has a beginning. And the beginning of this tragedy was not when the police officers arrived. It wasn't when the firefighters arrived. It wasn't when the paramedic arrived. The beginning of this tragedy was a series of decisions that ultimately led to a profound drug-induced medical and psychiatric crisis. The police responded to that crisis. The fire department responded to that crisis. Medic responded to that crisis. The cops did their best to try and prevent the crisis from getting worse. The paramedic tried to reverse that crisis. The hospital ER staff tried to reverse that crisis. And despite those efforts, Jovontay still died. I feel really bad that a mother lost her son and a child lost his father, and an entire community was left searching for answers. But if there's one lesson I hope people take away from this case, it's that accountability matters. It matters for police, it matters for EMS, it matters for the fire departments, it matters for medical examiners, and yes, accountability for the decisions individuals make before emergency responders are ever called. Because sometimes the most important events in an emergency happen long before the first siren is ever heard. I thank you all for coming along with me on this story. Until next time, be nice to people, make some good decisions, and I'll see you on the next one.